Hello YouTubers, this is IMAXNation1980 here, and it's been a long time since I've made a vlog. Life's been pretty hectic, work and school-wise, and yeah, I plan to show the rest of the Blu-rays that I've gotten over the past couple of months. But last time I did a vlog about my VHS tapes, I had this this widescreen TV that just didn't suit the tapes because it didn't have a feature on it where I could show the tapes, my Disney VHS tapes, in the correct aspect ratio, whereas this old box TV, this big beast here, manufactured in November 1995. This big beast plays it in, plays the tapes in the correct aspect ratio because a lot of Disney VHS tapes back in the day, and most VHS tapes I believe, before the introduction of letterboxing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, they were mostly recorded in that sort of Academy ratio where it was kind of in a box format. I was just going to demonstrate some tapes on here and what they look like when we play them and what they look like on a TV like this. I'm glad that I resurrected this beast because I retired it in 2010. When I graduated, I got a flat screen TV for my room as a graduation gift. I can't believe it was nearly 6 years ago, how time flies. And I basically had this beast in this room for years and years and years, and I never really I didn't really intend to use it ever again. But here we are, February 2016. So just testing some things out. This is from the demo VHS, The Fox and the Hound, as you can see there in the lower right-hand corner. And of course, like most of the demo tapes that Disney was putting out at the time, the early 90s into the mid-90s, the demo tape would begin with like a preview that would just give you a general overview of the film itself. Sometimes it would emphasize, like the previews were tailor-made for video dealers, showing, it's kind of hard to talk over the audio, because I'm like too busy listening to what it has to say. Notice the artwork doesn't have anything on the spine there. Yeah, so the demo tape of The Fox and the Hound is pretty much like the other demo tapes of Disney animated classic releases. And, oddly enough, unlike some of the other ones, it doesn't really play to video dealers the way, say, the Jungle Book demo VHS does. Nothing about sales or things directed at video dealers like, this title is gonna sell, it's gonna get you lots of units. This one didn't do that for some weird reason. And the film print that they use here is considerably beat up compared to the one that they ended up using for the actual VHS release. This demo tape was printed October 1993, whereas the VHS, the actual classics release itself, came out in March 1994, and I get the sense that they started pressing them after they made the demo VHS. And with that, they gave us a beat-up print of the movie. It was probably just sourced from a film print that hadn't been restored or anything. There is one slight downside, and you're going to see it in a couple seconds. Sometimes things kind of go off the screen, given how the TV is constructed. This is the 1991 VHS of Robin, as you can see, the later printings that had no previews, and the early version of the Classics logo. You notice that the diamond, the right of it, is going off the screen a bit, because that print of Robin Hood, the diamond was never centered well to begin with. Like, if you watch an HD print of that sourced from, like, a recorder or something, you'll see that it was still not centered very well. And that's one of the few downsides about this TV, in that you'll lose some of the image there. When I play other tapes that are centered a little more, like that are centered better, the tips of the diamond itself still hit the, kind of hit the end, but they don't go off the screen completely. And the other day, my step-uncle got me some VHS tapes from a nearby library that's closing. Unfortunately, because they're from the library, these stickers would be stuck all over the cover itself and not the plastic outside the cover, so I got as far as getting the side sticker that says the G rating off of it so you could see the Classics diamond, but I didn't do that for every tape. This one's not in the best of condition, of course. This is the 1991 release of The Rescuers Down Under, of course, the Classics edition. And, of course, I already have like multiple copies of this film on VHS. I have the original pressing that has the previews at the beginning, and I have the pressing that doesn't have previews at the beginning. This is the first pressing with the previews on it. The preview for the Jungle Book on video. I can't get rid of that thing too. Yep, printed July 17th, 1991. That's how you could tell. Because The Rescuers Down Under came out on VHS in September 1991. So if your printings are from like summer 1991, chances are they have the previews. And here we've got the Masterpiece edition of The Three Caballeros, which was released in October 1994. And until now, I never had this Masterpiece edition, so I'm glad that it's in my collection finally. And of course, The Three Caballeros, that's a personal favorite of mine. I think it's one of Walt Disney's most experimental films, and it's just really something else. It deserves more love, and it deserves to be on Blu-ray, because they did recently restore it, and the restored print was shown on TCM, Turner Classic Movies, as part of their Treasures from the Disney Vault block, and it looked amazing, to say the least. Now, this is special because it actually has a sticker label, and I don't think... I didn't think that they did a sticker label for this, or most of the other Masterpiece editions from 1994. And it is legitimate, too. It's printed March 2nd, 1996. Playing this tape, it opens with the Masterpiece Collection logo, but it uses the distorted Classics jingle instead of the Masterpiece music proper. But I'm glad that this is in my collection, because A, I didn't have the Masterpiece edition of Three Caballeros, and B, this is a rare variant. And here we've got the Black Cauldron. I already have this, but I decided to hold on to this one because the Black Cauldron is one of the unique Masterpiece editions in that it has this very detailed, very embossed cover. Lots of stuff going on here, lots of shines, lots of textures and such. It is a great cover. Talk about pulling out all the stops. All for a film that Disney tried to bury back then and still tries to bury. Hey, I gotta remove those stickers eventually without ripping the artwork. And hopefully this comes to Blu-ray too. It's one of the few Disney animated films that is not out on Blu-ray here in the States. And the print date, oh yes, there it is, June 23rd, 1998. This is not an ideal way to watch The Black Cauldron, though. Your best bet is the 2010 DVD, which presents the film in its original aspect ratio, and it's pretty cleaned up for the most part. This VHS was in pan and scan, so naturally it doesn't look very good, because The Black Cauldron was shot in widescreen in 70mm, which was also used to photograph Sleeping Beauty. So when you zoom into the image, you just lose everything, and of course it's jarring for film fans. And lastly, Treasure Planet. I've got the original 2003 DVD of Treasure Planet, and this was the VHS, because in 2003 they were still releasing VHS editions of films. I actually have the VHS of Finding Nemo, which came out many months later, many months after this. And Treasure Planet, of course, I like Treasure Planet a great deal. It's not great, but I think it's a very good movie. It's very solid. It has two great lead characters, and some pretty good side characters, too. It's unfortunately notorious for being a big budget bomb for Disney, but, you know, if you're steeped in the company's history, you would know why it bombed. And it had nothing to do with the film itself, because the film itself is pretty good. And another cool thing about this copy is that it's a Canadian copy. And how can you tell if it's a Canadian copy? No FBI warnings. And it's got the Canadian PG there instead of the MPAA PG, the US MPAA PG. And there is no print date. Canadian copies, from my experience, you know, from my video collecting experience, I mean, I've been collecting Disney VHS tapes since roughly 2002. And I've never seen a Canadian copy with a print date on it. But I'm glad to have this in my collection. And this was also around the time Disney started using the blue flap, tape protector flap. Because I got other Disney VHS tapes around the time Treasure Planet came out like, interestingly enough, the Bionicle movie, which was distributed through Disney's, through Miramax, which Disney owned at the time. I mean, the reason I had it, I was 11 or maybe 10 when it came out, and I was really into Bionicle back then. I actually still am. I still think the storyline for the toy was very cool, but I remember the VHS had the blue flap. I remember other releases. I remember Miracle had the blue flap. My grandparents had Miracle on VHS. But yeah, those were the 4 VHS tapes I got recently. I might be getting more, it depends. But yeah, thanks for watching this vlog. This is IMAXination 1980, signing off.